First off, I'd like to say thank you for having me here. I want to speak a little bit about my life, and I like to call it the miracles that lie ahead. And I guarantee you that if you keep your ears open and pay attention and listen, you'll know why I call it that without me explaining it to you. First off, I am 65 years old, and out of those 65 years, I think 40 or more, I used drinking, injecting, smoking, snorting, something that took you away from reality. And that's because I was not proud of my life. It was my way of hiding from the world. So a little bit about my story. I came up in San Francisco, California, to very loving parents, the kind that worked their fingers to the bone to make sure their kids had everything they wanted. All I needed to do was get a B+ average, and I could, Daddy, I want a new bike. I want a mini bike. I got it. It was no big deal. They were pretty well off, had their own businesses, and being the confused individual that I was, I had an identity crisis, and I didn't even know what that was at the time. And I would get like these expensive clothes to wear to school in different little places, and I would take them and trade them for a $3 pair of slacks with another African-American kid because I thought that was cool. And I'm wearing a pair of $80 slacks from Macy's. So I thought I was slick, but now who was slick? This guy's getting a pair of $80 slacks. I'm getting some $3 khakis and some, what did they call them back then before Nikes? PF Flyers. You know, where my daddy bought me a $100 pair of wingtips. But I couldn't relate to that because I went to Catholic school, so I had no measuring stick because there was only 4 blacks in the school, and 2 of them was my brother and sister. So I had no measuring stick, but there was a bus stop that was a major turning point in my life. And I wasn't even supposed to be at that bus stop because my parents dropped me off 2 blocks up, but I would come down to this bus stop because this is where I seen all the little black kids hanging out. And I wanted to be down there. I wanted to be the cool guy from the neighborhood. These kids was from Hunters Point Projects in San Francisco who were really hardcore kids. To them, I was a poop butt. But I didn't know that at the time. So I always thought I was a follower, a leader. But as I got older and looked back on my life, I've been a follower all my life. All my life, I've been a follower trying to imitate somebody else. If you ever seen Forrest Gump's, that was me. I wore a lot of shoes. I had a lot of personalities. I've been the militant. I've been a hippie. I've been a gangbanger. I've done all that. I've been to just about every penitentiary in the state of California. And that led me into drugs mostly. I got to where I got to hang out at the Haight-Ashbury. A lot of you guys are kind of below that age. You don't know what Haight-Ashbury was. But if you go back to the 60s and look up the word turmoil, just look for America. America was in turmoil. Everybody was a militant. Everybody was a flower child. And in the Haight-Ashbury, anybody blended in. There was no blacks. There was no Mexicans, no Orientals, no whites. You was just love and peace, brother. That's what you were. So this is where I decided to go. And I had real long hair then. I got a little bit left, but I had a lot then, halfway down my back. So I started wearing dreadlocks and dashikis and sandals because for some reason or another, I thought I was real African all of a sudden. So I became a militant. I became a militant, which led me to joining the Black Panthers, which turned me into one of their runners, which turned me into a drug addict, which turned me into a convict. And that's another part of what the dumb decisions I made in life. But let me back up a minute. I don't know how I even forgot this. Throughout all of that, I've done the smartest thing I ever did in my life. I listened to a girl that said she loved me, and I got married. And that was 40-some years ago, and we're still together today. She's sitting right over there, and that's what kept me from going all the way under. That's the only wise decision I've ever made in my life until I got into my late 40s and 50s. And that kept me from going under because she don't play. And at them days, I was a tough guy. 57-inch chest, 19-inch arms. I was the man of the house, let me tell it. You know what I mean? But when the homies wasn't there and she said, come here, I came. You know what I mean? So that's what kept me from being all washed up and still standing on the corner and sleeping in the bushes. Because she got tired of competing with the state of California for my companionship. Because I spent more time in the penitentiary. She knew more officers than I knew because she visited me all the time. And she got tired of it. So it was time to make a decision. Which way am I going to go? So along this route, I met a lady named Glennamae Matthews. I was a panhandler. Glennamae Matthews was an older lady. She had a passion for homeless people. And at the time, I didn't know why. But I come to find out she used to be homeless. And she worked for the downtown street team where I happen to work now. And she never gave up on me. She would come to my little site where I was panhandling with my little cardboard and playing like I had a limp, you know, to get money from people and stuff like that. And she used to tell me about the street team. So I would, just to be polite, I'd go along with the conversation, but I had no intentions of stop panhandling because it was my finances. I picked up this nickname, 3850. And everybody from the police to everybody in the neighborhood called me that. And I'll tell you why. Because a man can stay in the street. A man can wear the same clothes every day. But if you want your wife to live like that, you will become the dwarf of your fears. You're no longer the giant of your dreams. Because any man wants to be 10 feet tall to his wife. So that 3850 made it me able to put her in a motel room every night. And then I would go do my drug thing because she wasn't into that. She didn't play that, but I loved her, so I promised her mother, I'm going to take care of her. So if I didn't do nothing else, if I had to go through detox, I would do that till I got that 3850 to make sure she had a place to stay. So anyway, I became to the street team, and within a short period, I had ulterior motive. It's November. It's raining. It's cold outside. So I'm going to stay here and see what I can get out of these people before I go back to the street. But within a matter of like a week or two, I seen so many beautiful, wonderful things happening and felt such passion and love in the rooms that it was like, man, I got to get a piece of this. I'm getting old. Opportunity's about finished knocking on my door. So here's one here. Let me take advantage of this. So if my CEO at the time said, I need, my hand went up before I even knew what it was. I didn't care what it paid or whatever, but I knew idle time and me is a recipe for going back to the penitentiary. So I stayed busy. I worked 6 janitorial contracts on the bus in the rain, didn't care what it paid because I liked what I saw. And I seen this organization building. When I got there, it was like 12, 13 people. We're in the hundreds now. And if I have anything to do with it, we're going to get bigger than that, and we're going to cover more cities and more states. We're out of the state now. I seen the pride in people putting on them little $3 yellow shirts. And when first day I got there, I looked at it, and I was like, man, there's no way you're going to get me in one of them shirts. Walking downtown University sweeping leaves. I'm not going to do it. I'm bigger than that. Now, I wear a black one. Matter of fact, I'm the only one with one, and I'm so proud of it. And today, my job is to go back into them campsites where I used to hang out, use drugs, drink alcohol, and let them know they can do what I'm doing. I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment. I have a few vehicles. They're nice vehicles. I'm living good. And I have no intentions of seeing the inside of the state of California unless I go do some outreach or talk to somebody in the courtroom and represent this person to the judge to let them know we got a place for them. We can make their life better because that's what we do. That's what the street team is about, getting homeless people back their dignity, getting them back in the workforce, and making them part of the solution, not part of the problem. Because I was a major part of the problem. I was what you call a sick puppy. I did not make a good friend. I was your worst nightmare. Nowadays, my life is of value. People that used to didn't even want to be seen within a block of me now ask me my opinion on things. They invite me to dinner. I share time with them and their family. I'm a trustworthy person now. Today, I take my clothes off and go to bed at night. I don't get drunk and fall out wherever I'm at. If I tell my wife I'm going to be home at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 5:45. And she can make bank on that. Because my word is of value today because I know I'm about something. I know there's a place in life for a guy with my background. Because in AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, they say you have to reach your bottom before you can rebuild your life. I don't believe that. I believe I can reach your bottom for you and be the dream merchant and tell you what lies ahead if you keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to do that. Just listen to me. I've been there, done that. And it's no party. You want to be a gangbanger? You think the homeboys got your back? Get in the back seat of the police car. That's the last you'll see of the homeboys until you get out or you got something to give away or share. So I'm a firm believer that the more you owe, the more you know. I mean, the more you know, the more you owe. I live by this little plaque now. It's not a prayer per se. It's like an old saying. I don't even know who wrote it. But it says, don't dwell on your past, but dwell on the miracles that lie ahead. And if you think that's not possible, just look at me up here. A few years ago, I was in the bushes with a syringe in my arm and an alcohol bottle right here. Where am I at now? So don't tell me there's no miracles. They're out there. And when you get these educations like you're working on now, don't get a 6-year education and go manage a McDonald's. Get a job in the field that you got your education in and help the world. If you get something and just take it home and don't share it with the world, there's no need in having it. And I'm a firm believer that I can share my shortcomings. I can share my good times. So I will say I'm one of those miracles that lie ahead, and thank you very much for having me.